Excellency, colleagues, please remain standing for the invocation. Mr. Ali Hussein.
Thank you, Chairman. The invocation. O God and Creator, goodness and perfection flow from you. How great are your fullness and wonder. We come to you today seeking your blessing, not only on those of us present, but on all peoples we represent. Almighty God, in the abundance of your glory, enable us to grow firm in power with regard to our inner selves, so that you may live in our hearts through faith, and then, planted in love and built on love with all God's holy people, we will have the strength to grasp the length and the breadth and the height and the depth, so that, knowing the perfect love of God, which is beyond knowledge, we may be filled with the utter fullness of God. We thank you for the life of Anthony Norman Sabga, by whose generosity and inspiration the notion of the Caribbean Awards for Excellence has come to fruition. May he enjoy eternal life. Bless, we pray, the laureates whom we recognize, and endow each of them, their co-workers, and respective families with grace and strength, so that their future work and witness be to the credit of their country and be to your glory. We make our prayer knowing that from you all things come, and to you all things shall return. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Your Excellency, Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali, President and Commander-in-Chief of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Mr. Al Crichton, Dean of the Faculty of Education and Humanities of the University of Guyana, and the Chairman of the Guyana Country Nominating Committee. Mrs. Annette Arjun Martins, Mr. Alim Hussein, who are members of the Country Nominating Committee, the laureates of the previous years, Mrs. Annette Arjun Martins, Chair of the Guyana Marine Conservation Society, Professor Paloma Mohammed, Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, and I don't see them yet, but Mr. Wilnzo Craig, Lecturer 2 of the Faculty of Education and Humanities of the University of Guyana, and Mr. Andrew Boyle, Founder and CEO of Eureka Medical Laboratory. And the referees, Mr. Gavin Agard, Commissioner Acting of the Guyana Forestry Commission, Ms. Jocelyn Dow, former Chair of the Board of the Guyana Forestry Commission, and Dr. Vishnu Durga, Executive Chairman of Action Invest Caribbean, Inc. I also wish to acknowledge the presence of Mrs. Beverly Harper, AA, Country Head, Ansa McCall Group, Guyana. I'm delighted to congratulate the individual who is the reason that brought us all here, the 2020 A.N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence Laureate in the category of Entrepreneurship, Mr. Andrew David Mendes. I also acknowledge the presence of his wife, Mrs. Nicola Mendes, his mother and matriarch of the Mendes family, Mrs. June Mendes, AA, and his sister-in-law, Mrs. Adriana Mendes. I'm certain that his dad, Derek, is here in spirit. Among us also are members of the media, the representatives of the Red Entertainment, and staff contracted by the Program Secretariat in Trinidad and Tobago to provide all the arrangements, administration, and logistics for today's ceremony in collaboration with the Director of Protocol and Staff of State of the Ministry of the Presidency. I am Major General Joseph Singh, and I have been asked by the Program Secretariat to chair this event in my capacity as a member of the Regional Eminent Persons Selection Panel, chaired by Sir Sridhar Ramphal, OE. I therefore welcome you most heartily to this event. I thank Your Excellency for graciously approving of this venue, for your presence. I'm sorry that First Lady think she has another event, and for kindly agreeing to make the presentation of the award to Laureate Mr. Andrew Mendes, as well as to deliver brief remarks. This event was scheduled to be held on April 25th this year at the Hilton Conference Center in Trinidad, where all the laureates would have been present in one place to be acknowledged and to receive their awards. However, COVID-19 determined otherwise. The decision was then taken by the A.N. Sabga Foundation, chaired by Mr. Andrew Sabga, in consultation with the Eminent Person Selection Panel and the patron of the awards program, Dr. Norman Sabga, to have separate events held in each member country that has a 2020 laureate. So it is that events have already been held in Jamaica, St. Lucia, in Guyana today, and very soon in Trinidad and Tobago. At this time, it is appropriate that I pay homage to two individuals who transitioned this year. Sir Royston Hopkin of Grenada, a member of the Regional Eminent Person Selection Panel, and a highly respected Caribbean entrepreneur in the hospitality industry, who passed away on February 22nd in Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana's laureate in arts and letters, the eminent artist and archaeologist, Mr. George Simon, AA, the shaman who commenced his journey to the Milky Way on July 15th from Spain. May the rich legacy of these fine gentlemen keep alive their memory and the sterling contributions they made to their respective countries and the region. The Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence was conceived by the late Dr. Anthony N. Sabga, ORTT, founding chairman of the Ansa McCall Group, and established in 2005 to recognize the achievement of excellence by Caribbean citizens in the categories of arts and letters, science and technology, and public and civic contributions. The category of entrepreneurship was included in 2015. It is the region's leading recognition program. The program represents a coming of age in which we Caribbean people recognize our own. It celebrates the excellence and the potential of Caribbean people working for the benefit of our region, our home. The program is groundbreaking, and it is the first regional non-governmental recognition program of its type. It offers tangible, significant benefits to the awardees: a medal in the image of the founder, a citation, and 500,000 Trinidad and Tobago dollars to further their work and professional development. It is one of the most noteworthy philanthropic initiatives by a Caribbean organization in recent times. The nominees for the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence are chosen in 5 territories: Barbados, Guyana, Jamaica, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, and Trinidad and Tobago. Each territory is covered by a country nominating committee, or CNC, and the CNCs are mandated to select candidates with the following characteristics: 1, a track record of consistently superior work that has demonstrated excellence, leadership, and pioneering ability. The work must be a benchmark and positively referenced by others in their field. 2, the capacity for and likeliness of significant future achievement, being at the stage of life and career where this award could help them realize their promise and potential. 3, their work has had or is likely to have a positive impact in the Caribbean region and has benefited or would benefit Caribbean people. 4, they are likely to be worthy exemplars and must be willing and available to serve as Caribbean models of excellence, to inspire hope and emulation by the people of the region. It is the responsibility of each country nominating committee to nominate suitable candidates based on their selections, along with those gleaned from public calls. And once the best candidates are identified, rigorous research is done to ensure the candidate's suitability. Resumes are thoroughly investigated and verified, as are candidates' backgrounds. Once the CNCs are satisfied that the candidates have met the criteria, one candidate in each of the categories is selected, and each country nominating committee chair presents his or her committee's recommendations to the eminent persons panel for final selection. As I mentioned earlier, the Guyana Country Nominating Committee Chair is Mr. Al Crichton. The chair of the eminent persons panel is Sir Sridhar Ramphal, OE. Once the laureates are selected, the program director confirms their willingness to accept the awards. This program is managed by a program secretariat based in Trinidad and Tobago, and the program director since 2007 is the indefatigable and consummate professional, Mrs. Maria Superville Nielsen. The program secretariat reports to the Anson McCall Foundation, which from 1991 to 2003 received 1% of the profit of the Anson McCall Group. By investing this endowment, the foundation is self-financing and can a broad range of social needs and undertake in perpetuity the significant commitment of the Anthony N. Sambuca Career-Driven Awards for Excellence program. The 2020 laureates in the categories are Arts and Letters, Mr. Jalim Yudovic, a sculptor from St. Lucia; Public and Civic Contributions, Dr. Olivine Burke, a social scientist from the University of the West Indies, Jamaica; Science and Technology, Dr. Sharon Hack, a UWI astronomer and astrobiologist from Trinidad and Tobago; and Entrepreneurship, Mr. Andrew Mendes, Managing Director of the Farfan and Mendes Group in Guyana. 43 laureates have been honored by the program, and Your Excellency, this includes the 4 of 2020, and of these, 11 are from Guyana. The program today will follow the following sequence. There will be 3 videos comprising messages from the chairman of the Regional Eminent Persons Panel, Sir Sridhar Ramphal, from the patrons of the awards program, Dr. A. Norman Sabga, and 4 vignettes featuring the 4 2020 laureates, so that you get an idea of how these awards were justified. I shall then request His Excellency to make his remarks and present the award to our laureate, followed by the acceptance remarks by Laureate Mendes. Mr. Al Crichton, the chairman of the Guyana Country Nominating Committee, will then be invited to deliver the vote of thanks, after which there will be a short reception ending at 5 p.m. I close my remarks with this extract from the autobiography of the founder of the awards program, Dr. Anthony N. Sabga, ORTT, 1923 to 2017, in his book, A Will and a Way, pages 208 and 209, and I quote, "The Caribbean Awards has met with a certain amount of success and a certain amount of skepticism. People look at the award scheme and can't believe it is what it says it is and no more. They can't believe that there are no strings attached, and we just want to reward excellence. I hope this tangible expression and proof of the region's ability to save itself gets the acceptance it deserves. This would be the greatest accomplishment possible, to open the Caribbean's eyes to its own greatness." End of quote. I now invite you to view the 3 videos. So if you are not in a good position to see the screen, please make the necessary adjustment. Thank you very much.
Distinguished Caribbean colleagues everywhere, excellence will not be curbed, nor will its salutation by the necessary rules of safety that the pandemic imposes. And so, we are here today in a different fashion to acclaim the very best of the Caribbean, in an area of homegrown achievement of that excellence that nevertheless encompasses our entire region. 15 years ago, the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence broke new ground in looking out across our wide region and identifying from within our civilization individuals who had attained a unique level of excellence in notable fields of endeavor. In arts and letters, in public and civic contributions, in science and technology, and more recently, in entrepreneurship. Caribbean folk came to be identified as achievers above the call of merit, beyond the lines of distinction. Achievers for whom only the sobriquet of excellence would suffice. By the high plane of philanthropy thus innovated, and which the trustees of the Anson McCall Foundation have sustained, the Caribbean Awards for Excellence have generated a new level of regional aspiration. I salute the new chairman of the board of trustees of the foundation, Mr. Andrew Sabga. And I salute too, in the name of the entire eminent persons panel, the model of philanthropic hands-off that he and his colleagues at Anson McCall have been in relation to these awards. Excellence takes many forms, and the foundation is itself one of them. In so handsomely and with integrity, rewarding excellence, the awards have enhanced Caribbean levels of ambition and set higher the bar of regional accomplishment. In his immortal Gitanjali, Tagore wrote over a century ago of a world where knowledge is free, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where tireless striving stretches its arms toward perfection. It was a world of excellence. It is our world. The 2020 awards, as they salute and support excellence in our Caribbean, lift our collective sights to levels of performance we often miss or even fail to believe attainable in our region. They thus advance the superlative, excellence itself, as the mean for all our activities. The Caribbean Awards for Excellence not only honor individuals, but by demonstrating through them the worthiness that is within our countries, they multiply the vistas of excellence attainable to them. This year, we celebrate in the homeland of each of our awardees their outstanding achievement. And you, our viewing audience, are all with our celebrant and our celebrant with you. That is as it should be, for tonight is an occasion of Caribbean excellence. I invite you all to share with us the joy of the conferment of the Caribbean Award for Excellence 2020.
Our distinguished laureates and their families, members of our regional panel of eminent persons, other guests, welcome to our 2020 awards ceremony. If a year ago someone told me that I would be addressing you via this medium, we would all be in disbelief. But the global pandemic has pushed us into a new normal, and therefore I must address you by this means rather than in person. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. Amidst the push into the digital technology and the reorganization of our businesses, social life, and economic activity, a few things of our past remain of premium importance. Some of these things are ingenuity, innovation, entrepreneurship. Even without technology that we are using at this moment, these are the human qualities that deliver us into a new, better world, and these are the very things that our founder, Dr. Anthony N. Sabga, valued above all else. So it is fitting that these awards remain his legacy to the region and to the world, that the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence seeks out the knowledge and the skills so necessary for human, social, and economic growth and makes the knowledge available to all. So now, more than ever, as our laureates past and present are leading the way to alternative energy, medical science and entrepreneurship, and social intervention to help the less fortunate, our 2020 laureates magnificently provide us with the best examples of what we can do to solve our problems from within. Mr. Andrew Mendes, our Entrepreneurship Laureate from Guyana, has transformed the logging industry, but he's also diversified from farming, alternative energy, and traditional energy. Dr. Sharon Hack, our Science Laureate from Trinidad and Tobago, adds the second woman to this category. Dr. Hack's field is astronomy, but she will explain to you the science used to gaze into the stars is of utmost importance here to us on Earth. Our laureate in civic contributions, Dr. Olivine Burke from Jamaica, as head of UWI Mona Social Services, has made remarkable and transformative interventions in Jamaica's most depressed communities. She has transformed lives, rejuvenated whole communities, and brought education and opportunity where there was none. And our final laureate, Mr. Jalim Udovic of St. Lucia, is a sculptor whose work speaks to our present, past, and future of these islands. As always, the selection of these laureates is thanks to our hard-working and dedicated community nominating committees and the deliberation of our regional eminence panel. These exemplary people are the inner machinery of our awards, and I thank them. I congratulate our laureates in their respective territories, and I am confident that our laureates will be at the forefront of those leading our people out of the crisis into a better future. I thank you.
The Caribbean today is preoccupied with issues of economics, science, and politics. But there's another sphere of life just as important: the spirit of the bodies inside the machines. This is the sphere inhabited by Jalim Udovic, a sculptor from St. Lucia who, it seems, was born for this work. His father, Kenneth, was also an artist of some renown.
I was brought up in an art studio, but I was totally unaware of this until I was about 5 years old. But prior to my awareness of my surroundings and so on, I was always very, very fascinated with nature, puddles of water, wood grain, just about everything. I was that daydreaming kid.
His talent blossomed from an early age, and by young adulthood he had begun to make an impression on his national community. But his growth entered a new phase when he began to travel.
When I left St. Mary's College in 1999, I had an option to go to university, college, or to stay with my father. And my father was already probably approaching his 60s, by that time. And he being such a brilliant artist, I decided to stay with him for like a few years and to learn from the master himself. I immediately started to take part in some of the biggest exhibitions in St. Lucia, and that sort of put me on the local radar. The island and the powers that be began to recognize my talents, and I began to travel as an ambassador of St. Lucia, representing St. Lucia at various art exhibitions around the world.
His experiences in Niger, Africa, one of the poorest nations in the world, transformed him.
We went to Niger, Africa, the most impoverished country in Africa. So before we went, the entire delegation was inoculated. Africa, the perception is, there is festering disease and there is rampant poverty and that kind of thing. And what I found there was absolute unbridled creativity, without apology and without excuse, of people who had very little resources creating out of nothing. That's where I sort of broke away from my dad's style.
The work he produced in the aftermath established him as a serious artist.
He's become famous, let's not fool ourselves. He's well known as far as China, where much of his work is there, in UK, in the US, in the Caribbean, his work is known.
My art reflects my community and the aspirations of my community. I mean, my international diasporic community as a black man, in the world, as a Caribbean man in the world, as a multicultural man as well, because as Caribbean people we are all these things.
Jalim's work participates in global discussions about race, the future, and technology. He was invited to show at the Stephen Lawrence Gallery in the UK, and he contributed a series of works called Coup de Main.
Coup de Main is about people helping, it's helping hands, people lending their talents and the skills and the labor to improve the life of a neighbor. So it happens one by one. It's the philosophy of all for one.
So his work speaks to the local and the global with one voice. His impact on his home community, though, has been considerable.
For us, he's well renowned in the international arena. In terms of the local citizens, last year we celebrated our 40th anniversary of independence. And Jalim was the one who really captured the essence of our independence celebrations for us in sculpture, in a monument, depicting our theme, All In. It was just testimony, to the quality of work that he does internationally and from whence he came.
What I admire about his work, again, he's a thinking artist. He did this monument, which is now in downtown Castries. The original name was Boat of Dreams, which I prefer. It's now called All In. But again, you look at the vision encapsulated as he imagined the first fathers coming to these islands and his whole structuring of the piece. I find that unique.
Jalim's recognition for these achievements has been a source of pride locally, but he has also created opportunities for service.
Being a child of the independence era for us, because he was born in 1980, St. Lucia attained independence in 1979. And so for us, it was a real great gift, to our country, that a man who was born, after the independence era was able to leave a monument behind that captures the essence of who we are, whence we came, and causes us to reflect, most of the times, as well as look ahead in terms of where we want to go and ensuring that as a nation together, we can achieve the success that we want.
We are at a stage in our socioeconomic political development where we need people who make us question, who make us wonder, who make us contemplate, and cause us to question the status quo, because largely the status quo is not of our making, and if it's not of our making, then it is of someone else's making. When Jalim Yudovic creates a sculpture, as he has for the 40th anniversary of St. Lucia's independence, at least in my mind, he is causing us to ask those very questions.
For these reasons, Jalim Yudovic of St. Lucia is the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence Laureate in Arts and Letters for 2020. We sometimes look to the stars and let our imaginations roam, but then we come back to Earth. Sharon Hack, an astronomer from Trinidad and Tobago, is a rare individual who manages to be on Earth and keep her head in the stars.
My father had a pair of binoculars that would be around, and I took the binoculars and I looked up at the moon at around age 9. And like I say, I never looked back down.
She is the only working astronomer in the Caribbean, which is a feat in itself. It's difficult to imagine astronomy as a viable pursuit in the region given its many earthbound difficulties.
I went to UE, right, Natural Sciences, and my degree was a major in physics. And after that, the calling remained. I wanted to do astronomy. But anyway I turned, everyone told me, you're not going to get a job with that. You can't do astronomy in Trinidad.
But things have changed since then. Astronomy is no longer just stargazing.
Astronomy is like the queen of the sciences that brings all mathematics, physics, chemistry, and now even biology. So one of the beauty about astronomy and relevance to our people is that it gives you transferable skills.
As the science has progressed, the Caribbean, and Trinidad specifically, has emerged as a site for a cutting-edge development in astronomy.
If you take up a very old textbook in astronomy, you're not even going to find a topic called astrobiology. You take up a current one, they will all have it. So it's a cutting-edge field that developed over the period that I've been involved in astronomy.
I was very surprised but also very excited about the combination of astronomy and physics with biology. Looking at the question of life in the universe. We all wanted to know about Mars on life and what's happening on the other planets. And this was one area of research project which was going to try to answer the questions about whether we have life on Mars and other planets. And if we do, what is it like?
Apparently, there are areas in Trinidad which are perfect for the study of astrobiology.
It's a huge question, and it's one of the big things now, life in the universe. So what could we in Trinidad contribute to such a big question like that? Now, Mars has features like mud volcanoes. So we can't quite go to Mars right now and do testing, but we could go down to the mud volcanoes and see what kind of environment it was regarding whether it was conducive to life. Similarly with the Pitch Lake. Now, the mud volcanoes act as an analog for Mars, but the Pitch Lake, Titan, which is Saturn's largest moon, has an abundance of hydrocarbon lakes. And guess who else has an abundance of hydrocarbon lake? Us in Trinidad.
Trinidad is also well positioned, literally, for observational astronomy. When telescopes in high latitudes cannot view an object, it is often visible here. This has led to a collaboration with foreign universities to set up an observatory in Trinidad.
So one of the projects that we got started with was establishing an observatory here. There was, and to date, there is no research grade observatory in the English-speaking Caribbean. And you had to be everything. You had to be project manager, you had to be architect, you had to be software engineer to make this thing happen. And why were we doing this? Well, it was a project we got involved with Finland, but they are 60 degrees north. So they were monitoring a quasar, which is a black hole kind of system. And when it went below the horizon, they couldn't see it. So guess who could see it? Us, conveniently placed close to the equator, could see it when Finland couldn't. So we took over the observation when it was needed at those times.
She has been affiliated with many international organizations, worked together with them. She has been able to team up with almost 12 universities from North America to apply for a very large grant. It would enable us, one, to develop a large laboratory with equipment, which would enable the university to train students, for example, in computer science relevant to data analysis, for example, Python programming, which is a very much used programming language nowadays. We can train also kids at school using data that we get from the atmosphere so that they could at least see the usefulness of physics.
Hack is also a passionate educator, teaching at the university and creating television programs for public education.
She is a phenomenal lecturer, a phenomenal educator. There are very few people that you could ever meet that has such a passion and a drive for the things that they do sometimes in this world, in this university even. And you just walk into a class and you feel it's all there. You feel all the passion laid out on the tables. She would bring her little toys, some Star Trek stuff, some Doctor Who stuff, a little Einstein figurine. At some point in time, I think I remember seeing, and you just feel so immersed in astrophysics and in the course, and there's never dull moments with her.
She is able to propagate physics down to the layperson. I think that would be one of the most significant achievements that she has had in Trinidad and Tobago, and that has allowed us as a department to prosper.
For her achievements as a scientist, teacher and pioneer, Dr. Sharon Hack of Trinidad and Tobago is the Anthony N. Sapga Caribbean Awards for Excellence Laureate in Science and Technology for 2020. One enduring issue that plagues the Caribbean is the large number of people being left behind. This is especially so in Jamaica, with its population of close to 3 million, many of whom live in large inner-city communities. Dr. Olivine Burke is a product of one such community who has made it her life's work to transform them.
So I grew up in the Hannatown section of Western Jamaica. And like the Greater Augustown and the various communities in which I work now, it was a violent community.
What made the difference for Dr. Burke was her parents, whose attitude was crucial to her success.
My parents decided that they would leave everything behind and start all over again. And so we relocated to Vineyard Town.
These early lessons stayed with her through her years teaching in high school. When she returned to UWI as an academic in 2001, she was attracted to Dr. Barry Chevans and the UWI Township Project, which aimed to make interventions in the depressed communities surrounding the UWI Mona campus.
It was focusing on lowering unemployment and also lowering crime and violence. In 2008, it was the first time the principal of the University of the West Indies, Mona campus, was actually going in the community of the Greater Augustown, which is just a wall that separates the community from the campus. And he toured the community, and of course, he was also appalled at the findings of abject poverty.
The university agreed to invest in the project. When Shivans passed away in 2010, Dr. Burke took over the initiative and transformed it to the Mona Social Services of today.
The university's goal is to revitalize Caribbean development. And people think of it as economic development, but we're also interested in social development.
The change is achieved through 6 pillars of intervention:
education, health, entrepreneurship, reduction in crime and violence, and sports. So we were using a holistic approach to social intervention. You can't look at crime and violence reduction without doing something about the education level. If you can't reason things out, then you're going to be acting things out in a negative way.
This meant repairing schools, creating kitchen gardens, and assisting people to start their own businesses and building bonds through sports.
So what we do is we try to use sports to integrate the youths and to bring some sort of cohesion to them, and also to build relationships with them. We try to strengthen the relationship in the community through sports. So the sports has really helped the community in that aspect. So because of the football program, what you find is that some of the youths get scholarships to go to school like Jamaica College, Wolmer's and stuff like that. Some of them even now have the opportunities to be in an academy and they are going overseas.
One of the tangible ways MSS intervened in the communities was awarding scholarships to qualified residents who would not otherwise be able to get to university.
My alternate reality, had I not gotten the Mona Social Services, looks nothing like this. And I can definitely say I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be a township scholar, because my existing reality is, I'd say 75% as a result of their intervention in my life. And coming from the community, I can definitely see how they have a positive impact on persons like me who are promising but don't necessarily have the opportunity to attend tertiary level education.
These students achieve not only for themselves, but for the communities they represent. Sometimes the community stigma is significant.
You can look at it from a number of different perspectives. One is the self-esteem of the individual, his or herself, in terms of going to university, right? Secondly, is the self-esteem of the community.
My community, it's not well liked because a lot of violence occurs on an everyday basis. Many of the members at my community, they also curse a lot. So because of that, they think that everyone from the community won't come out to anything good. We're treated differently sometimes because of our background.
But apart from making meaningful interventions in her home country, Dr. Burke's intervention model can be applied outside of Jamaica as well.
If you do something right, you would like to see it replicated. We think what we do is a model that should be replicated, not just in other campuses where there are tertiary education exercises, but just the fact that you can take what you have learned, what you know, what you research, what you are good at, and use it to help those who are less fortunate, are unable, or didn't have the opportunities. Mona Social Services gives us that kind of vehicle, and if we could do that in a number of countries, we would solve many of our social problems. And remember, social problems solved means you would now solve some of your financial problems, many of your crime problems. It is the key to success, and we must not forget that as we develop our Caribbean.
The achievement is considerable, but the individual who made all those parts work together is equally remarkable.
Dr. Burke provides what you call a fixed asset, because you know that especially in inner city communities, the so-called dons, they provide guns, they provide weed for the youths, and they give them probably like, they just give them a name, I give them like a food and all of that. But Dr. Burke provides a platform for us to be educated, and this education lasts us for a lifetime.
For these reasons, Dr. Olivine Burke of Jamaica is the Anthony N. Sapga Caribbean Awards for Excellence Laureate in Public and Civic Contributions for 2020. Guyana is a land of contrasts. Its vast natural treasures have been complemented by its newly discovered oil wealth. But to build a new country, especially from an underdeveloped one, a new attitude is necessary. And Andrew Mendes believes he has just the one.
The first thing is, a lot of times I'll go into sawmilling operations, logging operations, timber business, and a lot of sectors in Guyana in terms of even how businesses are run. And you try to get to the heart of, okay, why do you do this way, or why do you do things a certain way? Well, the scariest answer for me has always been, it's because we've always done it that way. That's one. And the second thing is I find is that also people make the comment that, well, this is Guyana and that's how it works here. For me, that's consigning ourselves to mediocrity.
Mendes inherited a small family business which sold chainsaws and logging tools to the timber industry in the early 1990s. He soon transformed it in size and expanded into logging. He was able to bring change to a business that many thought was impervious to change.
The type of blade that we use on the sawmills increases the efficiency. So the blade that we actually use here, our company actually developed that blade profile and then got Woodmiser to make it. And then what happened is they found that it doubled the sharp life and increased production by 50% even in the US. So now it's become actually their second most popular selling blade in the US.
But Mendes' ideas of business profit go beyond financial gains. His innovations are aimed at conservation as much as extraction. He has written a book on logging and a code of practice for the local industry in cooperation with international agencies like the EU Forestry Commission.
A lot of people look at economics and the environment as two mutually exclusive domains, when in reality they're actually complementary.
Farfan and Mendes implemented a shift in the paradigm. The Guyana Forestry Commission and Guyana as a whole has entered into a European Union forest law enforcement, governance and trade. This provides opportunities for Guyanese timber to enter into new markets, particularly in Europe, where higher prices than in the Caribbean and other markets are available. So the kind of initiatives that Andrew is taking on board and is pushing is where the country would like to go. Andrew's company has been able to put the practices that are done by operators throughout Guyana at an international level.
But he was constantly searching for opportunities, and two came from his family. His father was interested in solar power, so he invested in that. And his brother, Alex's talents, came into play when an opportunity arose to use the family's estate, Dubalay, for agriculture.
In April 2005, I moved back to the farm, and this was because we got an investment from Stein Seed to do corn and soybean seed, breeding. I actually developed fertilizer mixes, also, trace element mixes. I developed the whole irrigation system. We have 600 miles of drip tape.
The operation of the family's estate is more than an international joint venture. It provides opportunities for the residents of the community, mainly women.
It has given opportunities for up to 140 people from the community to work on the land. It gives them steady income year on year. They have, they pay NIS, and they also have private health insurance, so that for them and their families. We employ a significant number of women in the operation here. And that sort of fits in with Farfan and Mendes as a whole, in that over 50% of the managers in the company are women.
This is the sort of holistic thinking that has led to Mendes' success, and it is what sets him apart from his contemporaries in Guyana.
And it really takes a special individual to be able to put their ego aside, to actually reach out to others and to really accept what they have to say. And I'm sure he processes it. He might speak to multiple people and then figures out, okay, this is what I can depend on, this is what I can use in my decision making, and then move forward. But being able to set aside your ego and access what the world has to offer you is something I really wish people would pay more attention to and borrow it from Andrew.
It is this kind of thinking that has made FML and Panthera and Jaguar the only Guyanese companies to be poised to participate in the oil business as significant players rather than pawns.
Andrew's been very interesting in that he saw the opportunity going on in Guyana, and he realized that the way to do that was a lot different than others. First, he really tried to understand how his business could benefit. When Andrew started, there were no companies working offshore in Guyana. That was what we thought a long stretch would take a while as the center. In about 2 years, 18 months to 2 years, they've jumped. They're on the FPSO, they're working offshore. I think that's an accomplishment not only for Farf and Mendes, it's the fastest we've seen a transformation.
This kind of hard, rational approach is rarely combined with compassion and care for human and environmental capital. And the combination in Andrew Mendes makes him a transformational agent in Guyana.
We're not selfish in what we do. So we try to help other companies, say, by being open with them, come and see what we do, how we do it, try to get an understanding of why we made certain decisions and why we did things a certain way. When we share amongst each other, we grow learning from each other.
For these reasons, Andrew Mendes of Guyana is the Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence Laureate in Entrepreneurship for 2020.
Loud round of applause for them, please, all four. Thank you very much. When His Excellency was asked to officiate at this function today, he unhesitatingly agreed and also agreed to this venue. I must confess, it's the first time I'm here, sir. And what a wonderful way to recognize our laureate. I now have great pleasure in inviting His Excellency to deliver his remarks. Thank you very much. Thank you. Please be seated. First of all, please allow me, Major General Retired Joe Singh and other dignitaries, to recognize and celebrate Andrew for a tremendous contribution to Guyana, the upliftment of so many lives, and the fulfillment of your social responsibility in all that you do in growing your company. And I ask our audience to put your hands together for Andrew and the work he would have done. You have done remarkably well, but the work for you in Guyana has now already started. It is people like you who would inspire the next generation. And it is people like you who will prove to those who think we cannot get there very quickly and meet the standards and the certification necessary to not only build local capacity, but to own local capacity. And you have proven this with the work you have done. The Republic of Guyana is honored to be a part of this year's Anthony N. Sabga Caribbean Awards for Excellence. As President of Guyana, I consider it a privilege to have been asked to deliver a few remarks. Well, may not necessarily be a few. While this year's awards ceremony is taking place in less than ideal circumstances on account of the coronavirus pandemic, it should not diminish the significance of this event. The awards recognizes excellence within our region and serve as a reminder of the enormous reservoir of talent within the Caribbean. The awards have become the regional equivalent to the Nobel Prize, replete with its own laureates. The awardees exemplify the inherent capacity of our peoples to overcome the most daunting of challenges. sacrifice, and struggle are carved out in our DNA and has been molded by our region's experience in surviving despite the odds. And Andrew is an excellent example of this. It is this spirit distilled through our history which allows us, the Caribbean star, to shine so brightly in a global arena of excellence. The genius of our people is indisputable. The Caribbean community is a grouping of small island, developing and low-lying coastal states. Yet, our region has produced a number of Nobel laureates in Sir Arthur Lewis, Derek Walcott, and V.S. Naipaul. The region's academics, athletes, craftsmen, cricketers, diplomats, doctors, musicians, poets, scientists, statesmen, and writers have all placed us on the global stage. And its entrepreneurs continue to distinguish themselves inside and outside the region. Our people are extraordinary, and their accomplishments are extraordinary. But it is also present in the simple men and women who each day do ordinary things in extraordinary ways. The genius of the Caribbean is seen in the farmer who treks his farm each day to tend to his crops. The civil servant who gives more than a day's work for a day's pay. The soldier who stands guard over our borders. And we have one of the most remarkable example in retired Major General Joe Singh, a man who I have personally the greatest respect and admiration for. It is my honor to share this podium with such a distinguished Guyanese. Our nurses and other health professionals who go the extra mile to care for the sick, police officers who confront crime to keep our community safe, our teachers who nurture the minds of future generations, the janitor who takes immense pride in his job, or the mother who goes home tired after a hard day's work and still musters the energy to prepare meals and help the children with their homework. These are the people we celebrate. These are the people who inspire us every day. Our region is truly blessed with persons of extraordinary talent and resourcefulness. Once our people remain our most valuable resource, the sun will never set on the Caribbean civilization. The Caribbean must harness the unquestionable talent, brilliance, creativity, courage, and irrepressible zeal of its people in order to overcome its present challenges and to fashion a more resilient future. On this note, here in Guyana, it is the people of our country, the human resource capacity of our country, who will have to be the shining star, resilient amidst the odds, and committed to bringing our country together and ensuring that as a people and as a country we succeed. And we have excellent examples here, and Andrew, you're one such person. Our politicians have a duty to set the vision and to catalyze opportunities. But it is those who inspire us by their ideas, works, and words. They are the true builders and shapers of our Caribbean civilization, who are tasked with converting aspirations into achievements and opportunities into output. It is to our people to whom we must resort in order to rebuild and reboot our economies, especially in this pandemic. The Caribbean presently faces its grimmest crisis. The socio-economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has been extremely severe. The pandemic is likely to result in a contraction of economic growth, an increase in debt, reduced employment, and business insolvencies. Key sectors of the region's economy, such as tourism, have been affected by this pandemic. The pandemic has also had distressing social consequences. Our children are forced to be home because schooling has been disrupted. Social restrictions necessary to contain the spread of the virus has prevented families and friends from meeting each other as they wish. The rise in cases represent a continued threat to our health system. Amidst the uncertainties and unpredictable occasions by this pandemic, one thing remains sure: the Caribbean will survive. The Caribbean will not be destroyed by this pandemic. The pandemic will not have the final say. We will defeat this pandemic. The Caribbean will rebound, especially with people like you that generate ideas to ensure we succeed in the greatest of adversity. I want to say today I had also the distinct privilege of commissioning a medical institution for learning and research supported and financed by Dr. Yusuf Prasad. Today, Andrew, I offer you a new challenge. As we prepare for the oil and gas sector, we have to ensure we prepare our people technically. I ask you to bring together similar minds in the private sector and let us discuss a common platform where the government can provide the technical institutions to equip our people, Guyanese and regional people, to benefit from the opportunities that our country would have in the future. This is the new area that will require your skills and the private sector skills. We have to bring our resources together. We have to bring our talent together. And in a committed way, I'm convinced that we can build the capacity to provide the essential services and the talent that is required to shape and take our country forward. And I'm happy to be part of this program today and to ask you to use this platform that you're now on to influence that change in mindset, to create that connection, and to help us to mold the future that Guyana so badly needs. On another note, retired Major General Joe Singh, I would like to have your continued support, especially for this region, in ensuring that we continue to take the lead on climate change, environmental services, and importantly, creating an enabling environment for more regional and intra-regional trade and connectivity. Climate change presents to us the greatest challenge for the future. We must not wait until it is upon us like a pandemic, but we have to build back that strength and that will to confront these challenges. With these few words, Andrew, once again, congratulations to your beautiful family, your wife who is here, who no doubt would have supported you, inspired you, to your parents who are the reason you're here. In whatever I saw in the video, they spoke about the small start, but they gave you a start. They gave a start. So to your parents, I want to recognize too the role they played in shaping you, shaping your company, and giving Guyana such an outstanding citizen. Thank you very much. Congratulations, and God bless you. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that very profound speech and the challenges that you given both to Andrew and to myself. Thank you very much. And I would like to recognize one of the parents here, Mrs. June Mendes. June, can you please? It's now my pleasure to invite our laureate for entrepreneurship, the Anthony Sapga Awards, Mr. Andrew David Mendes, to the microphone in order to give his remarks, after which, seamlessly, I will ask the chairman of this country nominating committee, Mr. Al Crichton, to give the vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Dr. Irfan Ali, President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, members of the Country Nominating Committee, members of the Eminent Persons Committee, Major General Joe Singh, ladies and gentlemen, and referees that so eloquently recognized some of the work that I have done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I think maybe in this little talk I might be able to answer some of the charges that the President gave. Thank you for your kind words, Mr. President. Before I begin, I would like to extend my congratulations to all of the 2020 Anthony N. Sapga Award winners. It is an extraordinary honor to be recognized in that company. Standing up here today, I reflect back to how I felt in September of last year when I received a call informing me I had been nominated for this award. I was both thrilled and surprised. It is extremely gratifying to be seen in the same light as others who have been recognized with this award. It is also tremendously humbling. You see, this award isn't just about me. It is in large part testimony to the decades of effort and support of so many others who contributed to the achievements I am being recognized for today. My family, our staff, our community, and our partners. The foundation of our family's business was laid in the early 1960s by my parents, Derek and June Mendes. Their hard work and perseverance sustained a business which had seen its share of ups and downs. You know, when I think back to the 70s and 80s, when we couldn't get foreign exchange, we couldn't get import licenses, and the Burnham regime took away our most profitable product line, essentially nationalized it. And yet still, my parents never, ever laid off any staff as the company contracted, and still were able to put 3 sons
through school and university in England. I to this day do not know how they did it. Through all of it, they built a company culture based on an ethos that if we take care of our employees, they will take care of our customers and therefore take care of us. Through decades of economic cycles, we have stayed true to this code, and it has served us well. I must also honor the role that our Trinidad partners, Esmond and Junior Farfan, played in our early journey. During their time with the company, our partnership was one built on mutual respect, honesty, and integrity. There were no written agreements, just two parties that worked at maintaining a mutually beneficial and respectful relationship. They left an imprint on the company which endures to this day. This manner of doing business has in fact been responsible for our company's ability to navigate particularly rough waters this year. An oil price crash, a global pandemic, and essentially an elections nightmare. I am grateful to be able to stand here in front of you and report that during this global pandemic and the other crises we faced, we, with the commitment and support of our staff and our Canadian partner Crosby Group, have lived up to my parents' legacy that they maintained in the 70s and 80s. Through hard work and perseverance, we decided not to waste this crisis. Instead, this uncertain period helped galvanize our team and inspired us to see the opportunity in front of us to improve our management processes and ensure that our company was in a position to sustain itself through this difficult time. And by that I mean following on my parents' legacy of never ever laying anyone off, and this is important to me, that I maintain that legacy as a person. We never laid anyone off. We never cut any salaries. The lesson in this for all of us, I believe, is the importance of having open, transparent relationships and acting with integrity. And when I say integrity, it's not the highfalutin definitions we all think about. It simply means say what you do and do what you say. We must match words with deeds. While this has been a difficult year, our future is bright, very bright. I am excited for Guyana's youth, Mr. President. I guess like me though, you have heard the refrain that you can't find good labor here. That is not my personal experience. We had one of the world's largest oil and gas training companies come to Guyana to train our people to prepare them to work on the Liza Destiny. Following completion of the program, every trainer, I think there was about 4 or 5, stated categorically that these were the best trainees they had ever trained in terms of their diligence and commitment to learn. I am happy for our young people. They no longer have to leave our shores to find good jobs. And I listened to you last Wednesday, Mr. President, speaking about your plans for Guyana. And I am excited about the opportunities that are finally coming Guyana's way. I can tell you without reserve that our youth will rise to that challenge if we train them well, pay them well, treat them well. To quote a well-known adage from my partners, we're not worried that if we train our people well, they will leave. We're more worried that if we don't train them, they will stay. Our future is built on our young people. Let's make sure they're prepared to take us there. Before I conclude, I do want to comment on the importance of giving back to our communities. At Farfan and Mendes, we believe that strong businesses help build strong communities. We must always be aware that we are part of a wider community. And just as we benefit from their custom, we have a role to play in giving back to that wider community, especially those who eke out a difficult existence in our interior. People in town sometimes take for granted just having a consistent income. Cannot comprehend what this does to an interior community where that does not exist. At our ranch on the Berbice River, run by my brother Alex, next to the Waironi Amerindian Reservation, up to 140 people are employed, of which 70% are women. The work is extremely technical, being a seed nursery for corn and soybeans. To put it in perspective, at any one time there can be 100,000 different varieties of corn or soybean planted out that have to be tracked through planting, cross-pollinating, harvesting, shelling, and then shipment back to the US. All this technical work is handled almost entirely by those same people from the community who were trained over time. So when people say we can't find good labor here, I categorically disagree. You don't find good labor, you create good labor. That we have been able to provide them the opportunity of good, well-paying, consistent jobs and give back to a community that I and my brothers spent so much of our childhood in is something that we as a family are grateful to have been able to do. To see that community brighten up, fresh paint on the houses, lights at night, and an outboard on nearly every boat is just further encouragement to us. Only thing I have a little bit of an issue with is some of the loud music, but that is sometimes a cost of development. Our company has for years supported our young people through sponsorship of the under-15 cricket team of the Rose Hall Youth and Sports Club, as well as suicide prevention in Berbice through the same organization, the Cayman House project at Upakari, the peanut butter school feeding program in the Rupununi, along with countless seminars on the safe and effective use of our products in nearly all of our interior communities. I think since I started, for myself alone, I can say I've done probably over 400. And that would be from Aishalton in the South Rupununi to Oriala on the Suriname border to Port Kaituma in the Northwest District, and pretty much everywhere in between. And all of this we did gratis. Of late, we have been working along with the TVET program, providing psychometric testing to help screen trainees, training materials for courses and apprenticeship opportunities for their trainees. We just completed taking on, I think, 6 people from Basic Needs Trust Fund who work with us, and more, I think we've taken on full-time 4 of those 6. As our economy moves into unprecedented growth, we risk creating a wider gap between the wealthy and the less fortunate. I would encourage all businesses that enjoy this growth period to ensure you give back to your communities in meaningful ways. It is only a short time that I have here to recognize the support of so many people that have contributed to this award. My parents, my family, my brothers and their families, our staff, our partners, and our communities have all contributed in significant ways to this recognition that I am receiving today. I would like to thank all the unknown members of the nomination committee, the Regional Eminent Persons Panel, Mr. Norman Sabga for continuing the legacy that his father started in recognizing the excellence within the Caribbean. It is a real encouragement, I think, to our young people, and I would like to wish that it would continue into the future. And last but not least, the referees who so eloquently put into words what I and our people have been able to achieve. Mr. President, lastly, thank you for hosting myself and my family here. Your kind words on my award and the charge that you have given me. I will honor it. Thank you.
Honorable Chairman, Major General Joseph Singh, His Excellency President Irfan Ali of the Republic of Guyana, Principal and Vice Chancellor of the University of Guyana, Laureate of the UNSCAF in the category of entrepreneurship, members of the Eminent Persons Panel, members of the Guyana Country Nominating Committee, members of the media, and all our distinguished audience gathered here this afternoon. Today we celebrate excellence, and it is my great honor to be a part of it and to be delivering these closing remarks. We do it with a certain degree of symbolism, and we take a cue in this from the ancient Greeks, who also went into great symbolism and great theatrical gestures in honoring achievers and in celebrating excellence. We have today a theatrical setting, and we celebrate this excellence in a theatrical way. And we first of all would like to thank His Excellency the President for providing us with this theatrical set, providing us with this setting for the presentation of the award today, and also for his presence and his participation. So thanks to His Excellency the President, as well as to the Director of Protocol, Francis Abraham, for the role that he played in negotiating the ceremony here on these grounds today. We celebrate the pursuit of achievement with what we are doing here this afternoon, which is the culmination of more than a year of activities and the deliberations. And on behalf of the Country Nominating Committee of Guyana, I would like to extend further congratulations to the winner, the awardee, the laureate for entrepreneurship, Andrew Mendes. And to reflect on entrepreneurship being one of the areas recognized and awarded by UNSCAF. And entrepreneurship, this lengthy and elaborate sounding word, is a very simple one, taken from the French, which means go between. Entre, which means take, which means between, and preneur, which means to take. So the word entrepreneurship, the word entrepreneur really refers to a go-between, a middleman. Someone who takes goods and services from one place and transports them to another place and make them available to persons and communities. To go back to the origins of entrepreneurship, the merchants were among the first entrepreneurs to have gained prominence in any community, and they were the original takers of services, of goods from one place to the next. And it was in medieval times that these managed to actually move out and take a very prominent place in our society. But today, entrepreneurship means much more than that. The service and the profession have outgrown their origins in words, so that the entrepreneurship recognized by the UNSCAF has as a part of it the idea of development, innovation, uniqueness, and financial success, so that the entrepreneur who is awarded here, who is rewarded, and who gets the award, has achieved those things, so that the entrepreneurship, so that ANSCAF recognizes these qualities of advancement and rewards them. And we are therefore grateful to the Anthony Sabga organization in doing this, in making this recognition and in making these awards. In doing this, we are continuing, as I have said, the noble Greek tradition. We call Andrew Mendes today, we call him a laureate. And that comes from the Greek tradition where there was theatrical symbolism and theatrical gesture, where the achievers were crowned with a laurel wreath. And so, in this crowning with laurel wreaths, we have to acknowledge the very hard work of the director of these theatrical events. And I am referring to the indefatigable, the sagacious Maria Superville Nielsen, who is the project director of ANSCAF, as well as the secretariat with which she works. And members of that secretariat, I can mention Raymond Ramcharitar, I can mention Olivia Habib, and even our own researcher, the researcher for the country nominating committee, who also serves in this whole team. And it was all a very elaborate production. And ANSCAF goes around the Caribbean to discover talent, you may say. They go around the Caribbean to discover excellence, to find out who are the achievers, who are making the most telling contributions to the Caribbean society in these various areas that are awarded. And in order to do that, we need persons to actually search and identify and to recognize who these people are. And that was a task given in Guyana to the Guyana Country Nominating Committee, who are a part of this elaborate production team. And the committee is made up of people who are a part of a multidisciplinary organization. A range of professions are represented in this team. A range of ideas and interests, so that they will be able to look around and to identify achievements in these 4 categories. And so we are indeed grateful to the Country Nominating Committee of Guyana. And I did mention the researcher. I didn't mention her name. She's Carinia Sharples. The Country Nominating Committee will then send their nominees to the headquarters. And those nominees are the national nominees have achieved something. This national selection is an achievement in itself. And the nominees are submitted to the eminent persons panel, and the eminent persons panel will have the difficult task of selecting the winners. And we owe them our gratitude for that important role that they are playing. Now, we are operating within the situation of COVID-19 pandemic, as you have heard many times this afternoon. And that has meant forced reductions, restrictions. But we have been pushed by this situation to turn adversity into creativity. We have been forced to innovate. So we have innovations. We have new ways of doing things. And all of this coming out of that adversity. This ceremony, for example, is reduced, very much reduced from the large, elaborate, grand occasion that it is under normal circumstances. And we have, therefore, this particular renewed production, but it is novel. It is a novel way of doing what we are doing. And we, therefore, needed, when ANSCAF decided that in the middle of COVID, this is how they would go about handing over the awards. We needed to find people who could do it. We needed to find people who could put this together. And therefore, we are grateful to Christine King and the staff of Red Entertainment, who basically took on that task. The stage management, the props, everything put together for the award presentation. And the technical team that is handling the video projection, the public address system, and all the other props and the parts of the set. This is a theater of achievement, of ideas, of progress. And there is no theater without audience. And therefore, the role of the media is important here, where the media will then have to be tasked with ensuring that this performance reaches and educates the widest possible audience. And so that role is an important one that is given to the media to operate. But we are very deeply indebted to Major General Joseph Singh, who is a member of the Eminent Persons Panel. He is Pro-Chancellor of the University of Guyana. And he had the task in Guyana for this year of marshalling all the forces, all the resources for this ceremony. I mentioned the Greek more than once, and as we crown Andrew Mendes with a laurel wreath. And all societies, however, please pardon me, I'm not accustomed to these things. All societies value and revere achievers. All societies value and revere excellence. This ceremony is an inspiration for others. It's an inspiration for such other endeavors, which include the renewal of the Guyana Prize for Literature, which will further this kind of work, which will hold challenges up to all in the Caribbean. We have with us some of the past winners, some of the past laureates, and such as I have not seen all who might have been here, but I know that Paloma Mohammed, Winslow Craig, and I think I am seeing Annette Martins. And we have those with us, and they can be held up as exemplars, as examples in this theater of symbols and excellence. And we have to take an important statement to the Caribbean and to the global audience. And so it has been my honor to make these closing remarks. And I want to say thanks to all who are gathered here for their presence and their participation. Thank you.